Let's talk about walking real quick, because we've talked about walking a lot on the show. Mark does a lot of walking and running. A lot of people in the audience are used to just walking every single day. It's just a habit. It's something that we need to do. But what would your suggestion be to people for maybe how they should try to be striking the ground? And I know that it's too broad of a question, because everybody has their different movement inefficiencies because of maybe certain things in the gym. So maybe their feet are turned out, etc. But what should we ideally be looking for when we're striking the ground, when we're moving forward in space?
So first one is to find the rhythm. So walking is supposed to be rhythmic. Second big thing is you have to take sufficient strides or steps. A stride is actually 2 steps, but sufficient step length.
Yeah.
So if you do not take a sufficient step, and maybe you don't because you don't have big toe range of motion, that'll jack it up, right? But you have to be able to take a long step to force the other arm across. Do this in it, right? So I can get this reciprocal pattern between here. If I can't take a long step, there's no need for me to rotate my T-spine. So that just shot everything, right? When we take long steps and we get that reciprocal swing mechanically, like biomechanically, that's where the spiral's created. But that's also how your fascia, so the spiraling that Mark was just talking about with the pictures, is really fascial and mechanical, right? So then that's how you load your fascia. So if you start to shorten your stride so that it's staccatic, I actually think that the way that people now walk in modern society is actually a huge hindrance on movement longevity and anti-aging and all of that, because we just don't have the wringing out of the fascial rag, or you don't get a sufficient pump up to the brain for cerebral blood flow. Like there's this whole like cascade of events that happens if you don't walk the right way. And at the simplest, requirements of walking the right way is stride length or step length and the speed that is associated with that.
Got it. Power Project family, how's it going? So no matter what diet you're on or no matter what supplements you take, it's necessary as you get older to know what's going on under the hood. That's why I've partnered with Merrick Health. They're the premium telehealth clinic owned by Derek from More Plates, More Dates. And we have a panel that will allow you to get all of your labs done and checked in a super easy fashion. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yeah, you guys got to head over to merrickhealth.com/powerproject. That's MAREK health.com/powerproject. And at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save $101 off of this comprehensive panel. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
And how about what do you see when people are striking the ground, especially like what do you see with the big foot? What do you see with the way that the foot strikes the ground? What should they be trying to do?
Let me talk about the push off first.
Push off first.
Okay, so push off. So that's when you're releasing. Can I show that again?
Yeah, you can.
If you don't mind. Okay.
Just get a little bit more in the middle.
More in the middle?
Yeah. You're perfect.
Here?
Yeah, and then I'll...
Okay. So a ideal push-off position is this, right? So I'm here. This is called a high gear. This is a high gear push-off, right? I'm efficient. I'm going sagittal. All my energy is going forward, right? Think like professional athlete, sprinter, Mark, right? Running forward here, okay? A lot of people push off like this. This is called a low gear. Ooh. So they're going around the
She just rotated her heel inward and her toes outward.
So I'm like
on her back foot.
A lot of professional athletes do this. Look at soccer and football. Will do this because they can't flex the cleat. So they rotate around the side of the cleat, and then look what that does to my knee.
Yep, the pressure in the knee.
Look what that does if I'm doing this. Look what that does to the whole inside of my foot, my post-tib.
Instead, you want access to your glute, right? And you want to flick the heel more outward and push off the big toe. Is that right?
Yes. So if we talk biomechanics for a moment, when I do this, right, and I do a high gear and I dorsiflex my big toe, I supinated and locked my rear foot, which created an external rotation moment into the glute, plus I'm extending, right? I get maximal extension. When I do this, I actually just started to internally rotate my lower extremity.
Yeah.
Right? So high gear, low gear is huge. I've actually worked with...
so you're trying to get like a good amount of hip extension
in
that movement, right?
Hip extension is directly linked to the first MPJ or the big toe. If you don't have the big toe, you're not going to get the hip extension, which means you shorten your step, you become very anterior in your movements, you become very anterior dominant.
Do you
Just think of
it's
reciprocal
a
inhibition.
good idea to try to actively
Squeeze your butt.
dorsiflex your foot as you're walking or running?
What do you mean?
Or is that something you don't need to really think about?
Pick up your foot as you swing forward. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
in throwing, right? You're like, why are we pitching our arm way back? Like you're doing a lot of external rotation to wind up a ton of internal rotation. Are we doing something similar when we're running? Should we, and so should you kind of try to use your foot as like a little bit of a spring, do you think? Or is that
Peeps, we love bringing you all this fitness information, and we also want to help bring that information to more people. So if you could help us out, hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell, and we'll continue to bring you the heat. And I won't whisper in your ear. Talk to you guys later.